Welcome to this slow class. My name is Ria. I'm the host of this channel. And today I want to give you some advice on how to get through a dark season. Right now it's winter. Right now it's COVID time. So how can we get through a time with a lot of darkness, with a lot of things that might be closed off, doors closed in our lives and stuff like that? So I hope you'll join me on the mats. Come down in a seated, comfortable way. Sit tall. You might want to find your blocks as well, actually. Maybe seated on the blocks. And let's begin with just breathing and actually exhaling. Let's exhale a lot of that darkness. And make some noise as you exhale and sigh it out. And if you're really tired, not like physical tired in that way, but just tired and sick and tired of everything, maybe you want to make some other kind of weird noises. I know this is weird if you're not used to doing stuff like this out loud, but it really feels good if you allow yourself to let go. And when you're ready, calm your breath. And maybe you want to turn your palms up, maybe out to the side, whatever works, for a prayer. You can pray with me or just listen if you want. God, we come to you with this season in our lives. You know that we might feel closed off. We might feel depressed or sad for all the things that we can't do. But God, help us to stay strong. We need your help, your divine hope. So God, speak to us on the yoga mat with your light, your ideas, and your hope. And bring your hands to your chest, maybe crossing your hands in front of your chest, just like a soft touch here on your chest. Reminding yourself, and this is one of the first things, that God's promises are still promises. God still loves us. God still has hope. God still has new things for us, even though we can't see them right now. And God cares. So is there a promise that you felt like God was speaking to you maybe now or earlier on in your life that you want to remind yourself of right now? Inhale it. So maybe you want to write your promise. If you have a specific word or promise that you just tend to forget, write it down. Put it somewhere on a mirror, in your car, on your bike, wherever. That keeps you focused on that instead of all the other things. So that would be my advice number 1. Keep remembering God's promises. Take your right arm out to the side, left arm over your head and stretch to the side. And move a little bit forward, like you're looking down your right shoulder. Don't reach, but move in the direction of your right knee. And then lift your left shoulder up again. And then we follow our breath. Exhale as you move down. Inhale as you move up, opening, even moving your hand back. If you feel like having a block underneath your right arm here on the ground, go ahead and do that. That will lift you up a little bit. And take your last lift. Look up. And let go. Move to the other side. As I said before, if a block helps you elevate a little bit, go ahead and do that. Move to the side. Make sure you have some space in between your ribs as you move to your left side. Relax your shoulders, and once again, we move a little bit forward. And let's inhale as we move up. Maybe the arm move a little bit back. It's supposed to feel good. So besides the promises, another thing that will help you through a dark season is moving. Make sure you move at least 15 minutes a day. Go for a walk, maybe a small running, jogging, 15 minutes outside. Do yoga, a little bit of yoga every day. I have so many YouTube videos here, so you might be able to find at least 60 that you want to do. So remember to move. Don't sit still and just look out the window or only focus on work or kids. Move, please. Go and move. Our bodies feel so much better after. Maybe even make an appointment with a friend of yours so that you kind of make a deal with each other. You have to move every day for 15 minutes. And if you don't, the other will call you and say, hey, what's going on? Get out. So is there one person that you want to call and ask, do you want to be my moving partner during this season? Or maybe join a group on Facebook or something. Move 15 minutes every day. All right, get into downward facing dog. Oh, that's nice, stretching out the knees after seated pose. So walk your dog. Spread your fingers out, bend your elbows a little bit. And this is a slow class, and it will be not that long, but still a little bit of movement here. All right. Stand in your down dog. Let your heels sink as low as they can towards the mat. It doesn't have to reach the mat. Move to your plank on your toes or on your knees. Stay in your plank for a few breaths. Broaden between your shoulder blades. And take the navel to the spine. Small micro bend in your elbows and lift the kneecap up towards your thighs a little bit. Take your knees down. If you have a back injury or something like that, please be very mindful here. Let your hips sink a little bit lower. If this is too hard on your wrist, come down on your elbows. Kind of an up dog, but slowly, mindful. So 15 minutes of movement. Advice number 2. All right, use your core. Move yourself back into child's pose, forehead on the ground. Let your hands reach down towards your feet. Relax your shoulders. Let your fingers again move to the front of your mat. Downward facing dog. Option of doing this on your elbows. Again, if you have wrist issues or anything. This is called dolphin pose, but it's a nice pose to know if you have anything going on with your wrists. Now you might want to move your left foot a little bit more to the center of your mat. And then you lift your right leg up. Open up your hip by bending your knee just a tiny bit or going all the way up. Take a look underneath your right armpit if that works for you. Let the heel sink towards the glute as much as you can. Breathe. Be aware of your shoulders, your elbows, micro-bend. One last breath. All right, close your hip up and draw your knee underneath your belly and the foot to the front end of the mat. Let your left knee come down, maybe on the folded mat. Now, if this is hard, reaching down right now, you can bring your block along. Move your hip to the front of your mat, so you kind of move it down to deepen the stretch here on your hamstrings, on your hip flexors. And then let's twist. So right arm moves up. If the block is not any help, remove it and just let your hand reach down. If you want to go for a more advanced pose, you can lift the heel off the mat and stay here. That will strengthen your body a little bit more, so you choose. Notice if your knee kind of drops out to the side, or if you can pull it in towards your belly a little bit more. Awesome. Reach down. Now, again, maybe you want to use blocks if you have two. It can even be books or something if you don't have blocks. Stretch the front leg. Now my leg is a little bit out to the side, so I actually like moving it a little bit in more to the middle of my mat here. Still hip width distance, my knee and my foot. Runner's stretch. So lean forward. Hip moves back and let your forehead sink towards the shin. Stretching. Whole back here of the leg. And breathe a whole lot. Again, if the block is not really serving you, then put them away. See if you can sink a little bit deeper the last few breaths.
bend the front knee. Get out of your folded mat if you still have it. Warrior two. So pivot the back foot around, heels aligned. Lift up. Widen the distance in between your feet if that is right for you. And sink down. Knee and ankle stacked above each other and arms reaching out. Now, a lot of people have the tendency of hyperextending the back knee. So if that is you, try to micro bend it a little bit. Notice if your shoulders and your hips are stacked and are aligned with your heels. We'll be staying here for a few more breaths. If it's too hard, shorten the distance in between your feet. Now, some say that flow of Vinyasa is harder than the slow, but that really depends on how long you stay in the pose and how deep you go. Am I right? All right, let's go. Hands down, lift the heel off, and see if you can somehow get to the front end of the mat. Shake it out. Blocks can be used here in your forward fold. Before we repeat all the poses on the other side, let's stand in mountain pose. Fold your hands here behind your head, elbows really reaching out to the side, and then lean back gently. Again, try not to lock your knees. Move your pelvis a little bit to the front. Let your head rest in your hands. Navel in and lean forward. It's always nice after a back bend to move into a forward fold. Now you can either just step back in down dog, or if you like your vinyasa to get more heat in your body, step back into plank. Lower down to a low plank from your high plank. Lift your chest, cobra, up dog, and then find your down dog. Now you have done your 15 minutes of movement today. Well, we're not completely done yet. All right, again, option of taking right leg a little bit to the middle of your mat as you lift your left leg up. Open up your hip, bend your knee. Engage the glutes there. Say hello to them. Maybe you haven't felt them in a long time. Now your root lock, you might want to engage that a little bit here. As we did before, you can look underneath your armpit or just even out your shoulders aligned with the short end of the mat. All right. Close your hip again. Knee underneath the belly and step it as we did before to the front of the mat. Low lunge or the knee off the mat. Before I showed this with a block, so you might want to move that again, aligned with the front foot there. Move the back heel as far back as you need to get your stretches here in your hip involved. Left leg to the front. And left arm moves up.
So as I already said, the option of lifting the knee up and staying here instead. Notice if your breath is still deep, going all the way down to your belly, or at least it feels like that. All right, frame the foot with the hands here. Runner's stretch, toenails on the ground. It's whatever works for you, but when we do runner's stretch, it's nice, I think, with the toenails on the ground. Again, I move the front leg there a little bit more to the middle of the mat. Lift the toes off, let them point up. Using the block if it feels good. Lean forward. Make sure your hip doesn't move out to the side, but knee and hip stay somewhat aligned. And fold. If you're super flexible and your head or forehead can reach the shin without a problem, maybe try to go with your chin here towards your knee. That will give you some extra length in your spine. Two more breaths, maybe deepening a little bit if you feel like your body is ready for that. Okay, moving on, warrior two. Get stuff out of the way, declutter your mat. Turn the back foot around again. Lifting up, taking your time, taking up your pants or whatever. Arms out to the side. Move your hip to the front as you lower down that front leg there. Look toward the front hand when you're ready. And this time, I'll invite you to focus on your shoulders. Where are they going? Are they lifted a little bit just because you're used to that? Or can you get them a little bit further down? Try to micro-bend your elbows a little bit. Maybe you want to curve your fingers. And sink lower if you're not beginning to feel this anywhere. Two more breaths, okay? Sink low or lift a little bit up if it's getting too hard for you. Here we go. Release. We move again to the front of our mats. Shake it out in a forward fold. The third of the four advices that at least works for me is that when I feel like my options have left or there are things I can't do that I want to do, I try to find another adventure. And for me, it needs to be an adventure. To find that can be a hobby or a thing you want to learn more about by doing an online training. You can become a yoga instructor online, just saying. But something that kind of challenges you in a new way, gives you something else to think about. All right? Chair pose. So this might be the challenge and adventure for today. How low can we go? For me, this season is actually my challenge, or my adventure is to make this online yoga, CrossYoga teacher training. And I enjoy it. And I think it's so important that we find those things that are new, that we can learn. So that would be my third advice. What do you want to get to dive into? Is it knitting? Is it soccer? Is it ice skating? I don't know, yoga, whatever. Reach up and let's open up our whole body to a new adventure, saying, okay, God, I have no ideas. Let me know what adventure you want me to step into. Lean back, arms out to the side, shoulder blades squeezed together. Okay, straight spine. Let's just do a few stretches before wrapping this video up. Wide legged forward fold. Step your right leg back and then move around on your mat. If it's too hard to look to the side for the screen, move your mat around. I would always advise you to have your toes pointing a little bit inward. And maybe you want to have a block involved as well. Place it in the middle of your feet, but in front. Now your right hand can reach down on your block or on the floor, and left arm up, so you're twisting your spine. Now your hip maybe want to move in the direction of your right hand, but try to close your hip off, let your hip stay, and your shoulders move. How does that feel? You can even take that hand you have towards the sky behind you, maybe grabbing the thigh on your left side. All right, let go. Other side, if you feel it in your toes or your feet, just do something that will ease it up a little bit and then go into the posture again. Hips stays where they are, navel a little bit in, and let your left side move up. Last inhale and exhale. And let go. Sit down on your mat. It can even be on your block if you like. Looking at the screen. Take your feet to the front. Maybe a micro bend in your knee. You can take a block underneath your knees here if you like. And lean forward. It's almost like a standing forward fold. We just have the weight distribution a little bit other than when we're standing. Take a hold of wherever you can reach. It might be your feet if you're pretty flexible. So adventures. You might be completely, I don't have any adventures, but then think back. What has gotten your attention? Dancing, maybe. Earlier on, that was just kind of, well, I don't have time for it. But maybe now is the time for you to take an adventure, step out of the boat, as we often say in Christian settings, stepping out of the boat, daring to go out in the deep waters, and something new that will take your focus on things you can't do and focus on things you can do. I would not advise you advise you to take a new adventure if you're traumatized or have things you need to deal with, because then it can become an escape route. But this is not what I'm talking about right now. It's a way of more dealing with dark times in the way that it's just boring, maybe. Okay, let go, and we'll finish seated today. So, I love sitting on my blocks if I have them, so I will do that. Comfortable seated pose. It can also be hero pose, seated on your legs. But tall spine, and then we'll finish up with the fourth of my advices to you. And please, again, share your advices down in the description below. I would love to hear if you can give me some great advice on how to get through winter times or dark times with COVID, or just whenever times you watch this video. But right now, I want you to take your hands together like this. And then think of things that you're grateful for. And this is the fourth thing. So I would advise you to, every morning when you get up, maybe have pen and paper by your side. Write down or think of 3, 4, or 5 things you're grateful for. All right? So find 3, 4, or 5 things right now that you're grateful for, that you can say, thank you, God, or just say thank you that you have this or can experience this. So in this ball-shaped hand you have here, you have a lot of things you're grateful for. So remember those things. Don't take it for granted what you have, all right? One of those things that I actually were grateful for is the opportunity to do the online teacher training that I'm doing, but also doing these videos. That is also what gets me through this time that we're in right now. So thank you so much for watching. And I really hope that you will share your ideas down in the comment section, and let's just enlighten each other on how to get through this time. Thank you so much for joining, and I pray that God will bless you, keep you healthy, strong. Remember God's promises. Keep them, write them down. Make sure to move 15 minutes a day. Is there someone you need to be accountable to move? Is there an adventure you need to jump into? Something that you think, that will kind of get my interest. Remember things you're grateful for. Thank you so much. Blessings on your path.